Hello and welcome to another miniature showcase. The miniature showcase takes a look at different miniatures from different games. In this video, we're going to have a look at miniatures from Space Hulk, the 2014 version. This is the 4th edition of Space Hulk from Games Workshop. Now, the reason I'm featuring these miniatures in the showcase is because I'd like to acknowledge the good work of one Lord Roblox. Now, why, you may ask? Well, a few years ago, I had a couple of visitors at my store. A young fella and his mummy were looking to get into a game. Any game. So I sold him a game and a set of paints. And since then, he's been diligently painting. And coming by the store every few weeks for a few more bottles of paint that he absolutely needed to have, and of course, buying more miniatures. Over time, he would send me pictures of his painted miniatures, and over time, he was getting good. Now in 2023, there was a Space Hulk set that was in need of a coat of paint, and I started to look for a painter to take on the commission. All the painters that I knew were not available. All except this young fella whom I felt perhaps could do the job. Now I did pass him a few smaller jobs to do before, and I felt that he was ready for something bigger. Now I felt a little worried, of course, and assured the client that if something were to go wrong, I would personally finish the job. Now why was I worried? Well, because Lord Roblox is 12 years of age. Anyway, finally in January 2024, we had the green light, and I decided to pass the job to this young fella. Now, I would monitor, of course. Now, one of the biggest reasons why I passed this job to this fella is also because the client did not have a time limit on how long it would take to finish it. So our Lord Roblox will not be under so much pressure and burn out before his 13th birthday. So the first time I got into Space Hulk was when it first came out. There was honestly nothing like it. Here was a space dungeon crawl with miniatures. I mean, how could you not like it? It was amazing. It is easily one of my top 10 favorite tabletop games of all time. Now, when I heard there was a 4th edition, I was not that excited. The set was not cheap, and at the time, I could not afford one. Now, even if I could, I heard sets were flying off the shelf as soon as they were put on it. I did, however, have a look at the figures, and man, they were really good. There were so many poses in this one. Now, let's talk about the figures. The figures are made for the game. All of the bases are set inside the game, inside the Space Hulk, which makes it thematic. I remember using the Genestealers in my 3rd edition set as part of my Genestealer cult army. You won't be able to do this with these miniatures because they would look strangely out of place. This Genestealer, for example, bursting out of the floor will only work in a Space Hulk set. Now, while the previous sets only had one pose for all the Genestealers, this one has variety. What really makes the figures stand out are the bases. The bases add to the narrative, like this one, for example, that has a Terminator helmet in the Genestealer's clawed hands, as the Genestealer stands over what perhaps is the remains of the Terminator. Now, that's really evocative. All of the paints used for the miniatures are from my painter. Lord Roblox did not use an airbrush because at the moment, he can't afford one. Now, taking a commission job is not very easy. It requires a whole lot of patience and sacrifice. Lord Roblox's mummy made sure he spent the time finishing the paint job and was quite happy to put away his gaming consoles until he finished. Now back to Genestealers. I was very impressed with the care he had for the most centerpiece figures. He took his time with these, and I would have weekends where I would get images of his work in progress on these centerpiece figures. Personally, I think the Genestealers in the set all have some really nice, unique poses, which actually adds to the dynamism, well, that was not evident in the early editions. Like this guy, for example, who seems to be abseiling down the structure. Very nice looking figure. And it's very diorama-ish, which is one of the many diorama looking figures in the set. They didn't really need to do this, but I really appreciate that they did. This one over here also is slightly diorama-ish. It feels like they took the basic pose and put it on this structure. I think a couple of decades ago, this would have been one of those figures that would come up in one of those conversion diorama competitions that you'd get whenever there's a competition. But also the way the different Genestealers are posed, like this one over here, who seems to be crouched over. The body structure and musculature is very nicely done. The Genestealers look really, really, really nice, and I think they are the hidden heroes of the miniature set. Of course, there are some awkward looking miniatures like this one, which looks like it's similar to the other one, but it seems like they ran out of different poses to go for. I understand that there are only so many poses you can do with Genestealers, but I also appreciate that they gave the player a good amount of variety. Now moving to the Terminators, I must say I was impressed with his work. He kept his painting method simple and clean. He also used his own scheme for the miniatures, which was cleared with the client. The palette he used was small, and I like that. I like the fact that he kept it small because it kept the army unified in look. The purity seals initially were red, but we talked about it and we decided to go with light blue as the purity seals, just for a little bit of contrast. Now, painting Terminators are annoying, especially ones that come with such unique sculpts to imply the uniqueness of each Terminator. There are no duplicates in this set, so I will give him points for sticking with it. Now, the detail work was slowly picked out, and I can tell that several patient thin layers were applied for that nice finish. The client wanted a grim dark look, and we decided on giving the miniature a coat of quick shade to help get this effect. Now, the amount of work needed for a whole box set of figures is not small. Commission work is not easy and not for everyone. For every commission a painter takes, it takes away from the miniatures he himself wants to paint. So the amount of discipline is huge to finish. And there was a small problem halfway into the project. I could sense that Lord Roblox was getting bored of painting the set, and I think he felt like giving up. Now this happens to everyone who takes up a commission job of this size. However, the more experienced painters just know how to handle it better. Our Lord Roblox was still new, so just a little bit of hand-holding was needed to get him over the hump. I told him to take regular breaks and sometimes a week off from painting the set, and also recommended him to paint something else or go for a walk and touch grass. As I was getting regular paint reports on the progress, the set looked like it was coming together very nicely. So I made him a deal. complete the commission, get your just payments, and as an extra, I would feature his paint job on the channel. The whole job took about 5 months to complete, and I'm happy to report that not only was the client happy with the job, but also threw in a small tip for his work. Now, Mummy Roblox was hesitant about me using his real name in this video, and I suspect that maybe he may have slightly overgrown the Lord Roblox handle. So let's hope this won't be the final time we see his work. I asked him how he felt about doing commissions, and I could sense a slight sadness. Now, he told me it was quite sad that he had to part with the figures that were part of his life for about 6 months. You know what? I secretly like that. You know, he had put his heart and soul into getting the job done well, and I was quite proud of him. But on the bright side, he did say that his concentration while painting got better, and he could now paint longer. Which means the hard part about learning how to paint wargaming miniatures is done. The lesson being getting the set done. Better concentration means more paint projects get done in a shorter time. Now, when I asked him what he was going to do with the payment he got from the commission work, Mommy Roblox, who was there when he sent in the miniatures, said it was going to go to his savings. But, you know, I have a feeling that a local guitar shop will have a visit from Lord Roblox real soon. So yeah, for the record, Lord Roblox, well done, great job. Keep painting. For those of you who are thinking of doing commission work and painting miniatures as a part-time job, I say go try it out. You find that when you're forced to paint, it ultimately helps your own development as a painter. So be patient, be calm, and just paint one figure at a time. You'll get there eventually. All in all, I think it's a great set, and I'm quite happy I got to see all the figures done by someone so very, very young. So that's pretty much the video. I hope you liked the paint job. Give us a like and subscribe. And don't forget to enjoy painting those figures.